Every member of the Seven explained. First up we have the Deep. The Deep was one of the founding members of the Seven, but was always regarded as the least valuable member of the group, leading to his insecurities to rapidly escalate, which caused him to become a horrible person who would belittle and take advantage of those around him, especially women. Kevin Moskowitz, that's the Deep if you need some clarification, was born in the mid-80s and was subject to experimentation with Compound V at birth. He is an aquatic superhero with the ability to breathe underwater and communicate with sea animals. Kevin first became aware of his aquatic powers at 9 years of age, as he began hearing the thoughts of every aquatic animal he encountered. Over time, his body would continue to mutate, sprouting aquatic gills on his torso, a trait that Kevin was highly insecure about. The Deep's insecurities would guide him into manipulating and assaulting multiple people to make him feel a little bit better about himself. Most famously, his first meeting with Starlight, which was completely different in the comics, by the way. His meeting with Starlight ended up with him forced into sabbatical. The Deep slowly creeped his way back into the Seven, but still remains pretty useless among the group. I will also be ranking these soups. Some of these rankings might surprise you. Now for our second soup, Black Noir, but the second one, the one that talks. There really isn't too much to say about this character because I'm currently making this video halfway through season 4. I don't know, maybe this whole part of the video will change and he'll be S tier. He suffers from narcolepsy, a rare medical condition which causes the sufferer to fall asleep instantly. Pretty cool. Lots of fun coming our way with this character. Last of the D-tier soups we have, Firecracker. After Firecracker's birth, her parents accepted Vought's offer to inject her with Compound V, transforming her into a soup and granting her superhuman abilities. Her abilities include the power to generate sparks by simply clicking her fingers. How cool is that? Just kidding. It sucks. When Firecracker was younger, she went by the name Sparkler. She would often participate in soup pageants against, you guessed it, Starlight. Despite her hard work, she was never able to win against Starlight. However, at the age of 13, Firecracker managed to make it into the top 2 alongside Starlight. Starlight ended up spreading a rumor that Firecracker had only made it to the finals through sexual favors with the judges, claiming that was the only reason someone like her could advance so far, then referred to her as a fat slut. Since then, Firecracker has held a vicious grudge against Starlight, which makes her a key part in the Seven, using her audience to turn people against Starlight, as she is a master manipulator, even being able to make the world turn a blind eye to a particular incident with a 15-year-old that we're not going to get into. Moving on to our C-tier soups, we have Sister Sage. Sister Sage, much like Firecracker, is a new addition to the Seven. She was personally brought in by Homelander with the use of her big brain to bring victory against his battle with the Starlight House. Sister Sage is confident and self-assured thanks to her extreme intelligence. That's right, she has big brain. She is one of the few people not afraid to challenge Homelander and give him constructive criticism. Her powerful use of knowledge isn't the only power Sister Sage has to offer, as she regularly lobotomizes herself as a way to be normal, with her brain regenerating back to normal within a few hours. The Seven isn't her first superhero team, as she was once a part of Teenage Kicks, where she actually teamed up with A-Train. Sister Sage quickly makes an impression on the Seven and becomes the CEO of the whole company. Plot twist, she got fired. Next up on the list we have Translucent. Translucent was born in 1980 to a Jewish family. As an infant, he was injected with Compound V in order to be turned into a superhero for Vought International. While still just a baby, Translucent's power of transforming his skin into a carbon metamaterial would manifest. He actually performed his bar mitzvah while invisible. Translucent is a very corrupt hero who abuses both his powers and authority. Rather than saving people from danger, Translucent is more preoccupied on peeping on women in the bathroom whilst invisible. He is also an original character for the show and did not exist in the comics. Translucent was created as a more realistic alternative to the alien soup, Jack from Jupiter, who we're going to get to in just a moment. Translucent's powers include the ability to change his skin into a carbon metamaterial, granting him invisibility and practically making him impenetrable. Unless your name is Huey and you have a butt bomb, which actually made Translucent the first soup to die in the show. Before his death, he did do an interview with Jimmy Fallon. Everyone loves that guy. Now to our third C-tier member, Supersonic. This guy's name is Alex. Hello, Alex! I'm kidding. Alex sucks! All he does is clap really loud. Nah, he isn't that bad. He has a positive can-do attitude, which ultimately gets him killed only days after joining the Seven. But hey, what can you do? Supersonic was once named Drummer Boy, and was the lead singer in Vaught's boy band called Super Sweet. He also dated Starlight, so respect. Supersonic was one of the few Supes that had purely good intentions. He earns his short-lived spot in the Seven after winning Vaught's reality TV show, American Hero. But after ignoring Starlight's warning, he ends up being killed by Homelander. Rest in pieces, you little superstar. Finally, to conclude our C-tier members, Lamplighter. Lamplighter was 4 years old when his powers activated, in which he accidentally burned his own house down. Despite this tragedy, his dad was immensely proud of him and said he was destined for greatness, which sounds insane, because my dad would hit me with a belt if I burnt my house down. He became one of the original members in the Seven, but sometime before the start of Season 1, Lamplighter was demoted from his position due to unspecified reasons. His spot was quickly filled in by Starlight, who seems to always have a lot to do with the people on this list. He has the ability to control fire with his mind, but despite being able to control fire, he is vulnerable to his own flames and he can't create fire, making him dependent on pre-existing fire sources, like a lighter or a really cool wizard stick he would carry around with him. Lamplighter suffered from a severe adult movie addiction and would often watch videos including characters based upon members of the Seven. After his time with the Seven ended, he is seen at the Sage Grove Center, where he uses his powers to burn and kill experiments gone wrong. He had a pretty good redemption arc though. Even if it did lead to burning himself alive, he's still a pretty cool character. Moving into our B-tier members, we have Jack from Jupiter. Jack from Jupiter has only been referenced once in the show so far, during a scene with Huey and Lamplighter, where we see them watch a particular adult film based around the Seven. He is pretty much a ripoff of DC's Martian Manhunter, with his powers including superhuman strength, flight, and the ability to become invincible when he says the word carpo. He was actually a pretty useless addition to the Seven, as when he couldn't say the word carpo, he had the durability of a normal human, which leads to him being choked and stabbed to death by Butcher. He is also pretty well known as a sexual deviant, and would often complain to other members of the Seven when Queen Maeve would reject his sexual advances. He kinda sucks, so I'm gonna move him down here. Now for our real first B tier, Starlight. Starlight was born as Annie January sometime in the mid-90s, where once again, another member on this list was injected with Compound V early on in life. Her parents would tell her that the light-emitting powers she developed were a gift from God, cementing her faith in Christianity from an early age. Annie's father would come to regret his decision due to the guilt of having to lie to his daughter. The guilt would eventually make him leave his family. Donna, Starlight's mother, was left alone to raise Annie all by herself. She would force Annie to participate in soup pageants, which we spoke about during Firecracker's segment. Annie is an idealist and one of the very few Supes who truly care about helping others and doing what she believes is right. It doesn't take Starlight long to turn her back on the Seven and pursue Vaught's downfall alongside her boyfriend Huey and the rest of the boys. When Starlight isn't flashbanging people, she uses her martial arts skills to beat her enemies, even being able to go toe-to-toe with Soldier Boy. So yeah, she's pretty badass. Now for our next B-tier member, A-Train. Reginald Franklin, which was the name given to him at birth, was born January 14th, 1987, which once again another member on this list was given Compound V as an infant. His powers of superhuman speed first activated when he was 3 years old due to a deadly shooting towards his home. It is also implied that A-Train grew up incredibly poor. His father died when he was younger, and his mother had to work 2 jobs, leading to his older brother Nathan to raise him. Throughout A-Train's time with the Seven, he has had some pretty memorable moments, like running straight through Huey's ex-girlfriend. I'm just kidding, let's all pour one out for Robin. He originally got his place in the Seven when he was replacing Mr. Marathon, who will be coming up next on the list. A-Train was once a kind-hearted Supe whose only intention was to help people, but as his time in the Seven continued, he became more hungry for money and fame, which led him down a path of abusing Compound V in order to keep his fastest man alive status. He ends up suffering from a career-ending heart condition and is forced into a life where he can't use his powers or he will die. Luckily enough, a generous Soup who goes by the name Blue Hawk offered his heart to A-Train, saving his life and granting him his spot back in the Seven. Come on, guys, let's hear it for Blue Hawk. Plot twist! A-Train's redemption arc finds him working with the boys and fighting against the Seven. Who would have guessed that? To finish off the B-tier section, we have Mr. Marathon. Mr. Marathon was the original speedster in the Seven, but was replaced by A-Train prior to the events of the TV series. He is pretty much the exact same as A-Train, so there really isn't anything to add. In the comics, he died in the 9/11 tragedy, so that isn't good. Now, moving on to our A-tier soups, we have Queen Maeve. Maggie Shaw was born in 1982 in Modesto, California. Her parents accepted Vought's offer to inject her with Compound V. When her powers activated, her father exploited her newfound superhuman abilities by having her perform in pageants and competitions to earn money, which he would then gamble away. From a young age, Maggie wanted to make a difference in the world, so she attended Godolphin University, where she eventually adopted the title Queen Maeve. Her abilities include pretty much anything with superhuman in front of it. On top of that, she is also a master martial artist. Maeve credits Starlight with getting her to care for people again and to be a genuine hero, which she tells Starlight before leaving. Maeve's last act as a Soup was to save a tower full of people from Soldier Boy's nuclear blast, resulting in her depowerment. Despite this, Maeve took great comfort that she was now free of Homelander and Vought, finding true peace, and potentially a little Billy Butcher baby. Now let's move on to Stormfront. The past of Stormfront is mostly shrouded in mystery. Although she appeared to be in her late 20s to early 30s, she physically didn't age. Stormfront was a closet Nazi who used her position in the Seven to promote her white supremacist agenda. Stormfront earns her spot as an A-tier member due to her Thor-like lightning abilities, which are awesome, despite all the horrible Nazi stuff, which is not awesome. She was married to Frederick Vought, who gave her the first successful injection of Compound V, making her the first successful Soup in the world. Stormfront moved to America under the alias Liberty near the end of World War II and joined up with Soldier Boy, where the two co-founded an event called Herogasm, where the two heroes got it on, and fan theories suggest the result of their getting it on was a little baby Homelander. Stan Edgar brought her in to join the Seven to replace Translucent after he was taken out by Huey. Stormfront's membership in the Seven expires when she is blasted into oblivion by Ryan, leaving her incapacitated and confined to a life support system, which leads her to bite her tongue off and call it a day. Finally, moving to our final A-tier member, Black Noir. Irving, that is the name of Black Noir, grew up imagining Buster Beaver and his friends comforting him when he went through highly emotional moments. Later in life, Irving landed a spot in the superhero team Payback, starting his career as Black Noir. He was forced to conceal his face due to his skin color in order to make him more marketable. Noir and the other members of Payback took it upon themselves to attack Soldier Boy, but they were unsuccessful, resulting in Noir to be savagely beaten, leaving him mute, disfigured, and stuck in the mind of a 7-year-old. None of these setbacks changed him. He was still known as the most lethal assassin and was feared almost as much as Homelander. During Black Noir's time with the Seven, he was the most loyal to Vought and would follow every order given to him. He was even the only member of the Seven who Homelander genuinely seemed to like, even if Homelander was the reason Noir isn't with us anymore. Rest in peace, Black Noir. Now finally, Homelander. John Gilman, better known as Homelander, was born in the spring of 1981 from the semen of Soldier Boy. A woman was paid $2,000 by Vought to carry the embryo to term. His birth was extremely violent, caused by his unbelievable powers, lasering his way out of the womb, gruesomely killing his mother. Take that, fan theorists. Stormfront is not the mother. He was then raised in a lab and was put through painful and traumatic physical experiments and surgeries to test the limits of his abilities. John was manipulated to be obedient, as he deeply craved love, affection, and approval from the scientists who were the closest thing he had to a family. John became the leader of the Seven and was introduced to the public as the Homelander. Homelander's abilities are godlike, showcasing feats of super strength, super speed, increased durability, flight, and heat vision, making him a weapon of mass destruction with no real competition to worry about. Homelander struggles to understand other people and their emotions, making him a callous, immoral, and psychopathic monster who absolutely loves milk. Thanks for watching, and every person that subscribes to the channel, I will personally give a firm handshake and maybe even a high five.